What's up everyone, Irrigation Farmer back today. Today, it's a hot one out there. So I remember a few weeks ago in one of my videos I was saying we were getting lots of rain, nice weather. Well, rain shut off and we've been about 105 degrees every day for a few days, excuse me. I got down to 70 one day and then back up to 90s and hundreds. So, been kind of fun. I was out watering some trees. Keep them alive, and then I'm gonna be running to the swather and go cut some oats and the brand new swather. So let's go take a look and have some reviews on it. Made it to the field here. I did some opening cuts real fast, but behind me is the swather. So this is brand new, or well, pretty much brand new besides first cutting here. It's a W235 and there's a higher horsepower one, but we decided we don't need the horsepower, so we went with the 235. The 500R header. I really like the machine so far. Later in the video I'll do some reviews, just kind of a quick commentary. From my little bit of experience, I haven't spent a lot of time in this machine, but enough to have kind of a good idea of things I like and things I don't like. But today what we're cutting is triticale. Sorry, barley. Cutting barley. So pretty tall stuff. It's up to my waist here. So this is new to us, this barley. We usually do oats. I like both. I don't know which one I like more. We'll see tonnage wise, but this is actually beardless barley, so you don't get anthers, they call them. Yeah, up close. So you can barely see there's a little anther here. Cattle guys do not like when there's a full beard, as they call it on these. Cattle chew it and it gets in their jaw. It'll cause sore spots and stuff, so no good. So supposedly this is great grazing or forage for cattle. We'll find out what the guy says. But let's go ahead and jump in the swather, see how she runs. So I definitely just hit a skunk. It smells terrible. I don't know if everyone knows what skunks are. If you don't, look them up. They are black and white and they stink. They'll spray you. It's not a good animal. Anyways, this stuff is really thick. I couldn't see anything, and this swather goes pretty fast. And before I knew it, I just smelled that smell. And it's terrible. It kind of stays in the machine, and now it's in the air, and I can just taste it. Ugh, that's bad. Wish we didn't have skunks. They kind of get smoked out here in these swathers. Oh well, hopefully it'll go away here soon. Here we have it, the inside of the cab. A little bumpy because I'm going across old corn rows. But this thing is a beast at cutting through heavy stuff. First thing I really love about this cab, just while I'm thinking about it, is the size of the cab itself. This doesn't really do it justice, but I believe it's the same cab as the S-Series Combine, which is huge. Lots of room for activities. Just kidding, so we're doing swathing, but the other thing is it's really quiet. The old swather was really loud, so that's another nice feature I really like about the swather. So I've said this in videos before, but I'll reiterate it. So our main crops out here are corn, which is back there, and then forage crops. A forage crop is something that's going to be fed to livestock. In our area, lots of cattle. So it works out really well for us to grow things that can be fed to cattle. So for example, right now I'm cutting I want to keep saying triticale. It's not triticale, this is barley. I'm cutting barley, and there's oats as well because we had issues with the planter. And anyways, so in a lot of areas you would take this to seed and you'd harvest it for seed, which, oh, there's a baby deer. Anyway, side note. So you'd harvest this for seed, which would then be either taken to cattle to be eaten that way, or it could be taken to be planted or made into anything else depending on what the crop is. So oats, cereal, things like that. In our area though, we just cut it all without the swather, and then we'll come in and bale it up and then send it directly to the cows to eat that way. So one thing I really like, short demonstration there, but about this barley is if you seed it up really heavy, you can tell right here there's no weeds at all. I did not spray this field. Where we had a gap in the planter, you can kind of see one here again, but back there was a lot of coach and a lot of weeds coming up. So when you have a good thick stand, and you get rid of all the weeds completely, maybe a few here and there, but nothing much at all. So far I'm really liking what this barley looks like. It looks like it's going to yield really well. So the camera probably won't pick it up here. Maybe if you have a really good eye, you might be able to see. But in there's a little bit of my cover crop from last year. So the big one that I'm seeing is hairy vetch. On the other side, there's some clover as well. There's some other types in there as well, but those are the two that I'm really excited about, because what those are is they're legumes. So they're creating nitrogen, or producing nitrogen on their own well, that's what they do as a plant. They are able to create nitrogen for themselves. Well, what will happen is they'll eventually release that nitrogen back to the next crop, since they'll die and kind of go on from there. So hopefully the feed, or if I plant corn in here, it's not going to be a lot of nitrogen because there's not a lot there, but it'll kind of pick up a little bit here and there, which is pretty cool. What I'm wanting to see with the cover crops, so it's kind of cool to see that they made it through the winter and then kind of grew within this crop here as multiple species in one area, and now getting cut. Gonna come check out the row real fast to show you guys what it looks like. Every time I step outside though, I still smell that skunk. Ugh, it's terrible. So as you saw in that video there, all it's doing is it's folding it together, it's crimping it. Let's see if I can find here. So what it does is it crimps it about every 3 inches or so, just depending. There's another one. And that allows this to dry. So we call it curing, but what you don't want is you don't want this in a bale wet. If it's wet in a bale, it can actually catch fire and burn down a lot of money, a lot of hay. So you have to make sure that it completely cures, so it dries it out all the way, and then you bale it up. This is pretty good tonnage. I don't know if it'll be about 2 to 3 tons an acre, but it's really wet and gonna take a little bit to dry. Hopefully 3 days or 4 days it should be done. We are having a rainstorm coming, so hopefully before then, but we'll find out. This stuff is really tall over here. It's almost up to my chest, and I'm 6'2". So this should be really good tonnage, better than my other field. It's spotty, so it's not gonna be the best all the way through, but at least there's spots that are really good tonnage. Overall, happy with what I'm getting, because I'll get this cutting, and then I'll do feed and get another cutting of that. Quick note that I'll talk about here pretty soon when I talk about good things and bad things. Bad thing, it's a stair right here. Alright, so my quick review of the W235 swather. Just gonna do a quick one of goods and bads that I like. So, first off, the cutting. Seems to be really good, dries pretty fast. It's supposedly the Massey and it are supposed to be very similar. I haven't noticed, we don't have a Massey, so I couldn't say it for sure because we can't compare and contrast field to field. I've had friends that have told me both stories. Some of them say that the swap or the John Deere cuts and it's maybe half a day slower. Others say they're about the same, so I'm gonna go with that they're pretty similar. Crimping wise, this one crimps very well. As I said, every 3 inches. Seems like every plant does get crimped at. I'd say on a good hot day or hot days, we could probably do it in 3.5 days and come back in bales. Pretty good. Comfort, really nice. I like the suspension in the back, how it works. Seat's nice. I guess sound, fantastic. It's not loud in here, so that's good. GPS is really good in this. We're using the Circle Pro, which works like a charm. Can cut really fast compared it to the older style. I'm going 12.5. I could be going 16, but it's too bumpy in this field and pretty much all of our fields to go that fast, so I don't cut that fast. But you can in this swather. Overall, nice machine. Very simple, lots of room, quiet, those kind of things. Onto the bads, there's not very many, but there are a few that I don't like at all. One, the stairs. Don't like the setup. Don't go down facing forward, like away from the stairs. I've already fallen once. Hurts kind of bad. Two, the little step down and then going down to the stairs, that sucks as well. If you're trying to close the door and you're not paying attention, it'd be kind of easy to accidentally step down and then maybe fall as well. So I wish they would just had a nice flat platform, then going down to the stairs instead of another deer there. Instead of a drop down and then to the stairs. Two, so this is a complaint to just John Deere as a general. So this is a brand new swather, and what I get irritated is they have like the up options where you can have better sound system, I think a refrigerator, leather seats, all that. Now I understand some guys do not like leather seats, so that I can see as an option. But just put a good stereo and the refrigerator in every one. Who wants to buy a Lamborghini without the top radio in it? Just do it, eat the price. I don't know if Dad just didn't want to find one like that or just didn't want to pay the extra like $5,000-$6,000 for that, for a radio and refrigerator. So again, you're buying kind of a Cadillac, or I hope John Deere still thinks they're a Cadillac. Just put in the nice features. Just my complaint. Let's see, I'm trying to think of any other things I don't really like about this machine. Thought my last complaint, and I think this is kind of a complaint probably across most of the swathers, but the steering when you're going fast is terrible. I would not trust a young kid in this machine to drive from field to field or on the highway. It does go 20 miles per hour, which is really nice, a lot faster than the old one would go, but it is really squirrely. We changed the sensitivity, which helped a lot. However, it's still, if you weren't paying attention, you could easily end up in the ditch pretty quick. So I know the Massey was the same way. I'm sure the Case is the same way. I know the old R series John Deere is the same way. It's better than that one I've heard, but it's still, I'd be really careful having younger kids driving these machines. I think in the field, not too bad, just slow down a little bit, but when you're going 20 miles per hour down the road, if you just accidentally make a little bit, you can end up in the ditch really quick. So, however, just my tidbit. I know they're not too in-depth. We haven't ran this enough really to tell anything major that I don't like about it. Just minor things here and there. And it seems like a really nice machine so far. So, that's my take on it. We'll go from there though. Getting closer to being done with the field. This is the other side of the pivot, and it's not as good. When we planted this, it's planted a little later on that side, and we had some major wind happening. And so I think the wind with the drought and just everything, I almost think I lost some seed. Now this isn't too bad, but over there it was really bad. A lot of weeds and stuff in there. So timing makes a big difference, and when you get a windstorm of 80 miles per hour after you plant and you dry out the ground, it definitely doesn't help. Well, got the field all done, heading home before the sunset at least, so don't have to work in the dark, but it is 8 o'clock or so. Just long days. Luckily that's the last oat field, so we got pretty much all of our oats done, or we do have all our oats done, and pretty much all the hay for first cutting. So first cutting is almost in the books, and then let things grow again if we get some rain and water, and back at it for second cutting. Gonna be planting some feed here pretty soon, or sorghum sedan grass, into all the fields I had oats in, double crop, and continue irrigating. Sounds like the river's slowing down, so we probably will have a lot more irrigations. Still, fingers crossed the corn makes it. Should, but who knows? Depends how hot, and if we get rain or not. That'd be a big difference. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. That's it for now. That's the swather. Hope you enjoy it. I'll have some more videos of the swather down the road when we're cutting hay and stuff, but just thought I'd get this and keep from there. Thanks, guys.